the internet would have been
Yo,
like
let's see what's happening with this
some of
game.
the old content that's still out there apparently.
Here we
Anyway,
go.
what are your
Here
thoughts
we
on all that? Leave a comment, subscribe for more stuff.
Oh, great. We can get out of that and we can go to a, let's go.
Did someone say tech news? Yeah,
You did.
I did.
Yeah,
Just
there you
now.
go.
Are you paying attention? You were right there.
Yeah, I said that.
The U.S. is tightening its export restrictions on advanced AI chips to China, as well as a handful of other countries. including
Processing,
Saudi Arabia,
compiling
UAE,
shaders.
and
Really, this
Vietnam.
is what you're showing
Vietnam
on the
too?
top
Oh,
now.
crying out loud. Cut that. Specifically,
What?
they're targeting NVIDIA's A800 and H800 GPUs, variants of the A100 and H100 that NVIDIA modified specifically for the Asian market to comply with the Biden administration's restrictions on chip exports to China last October. Which is wild, because this October is making last October exactly a year ago. So it took nearly an entire calendar year to close a loophole that obvious. The Cayman Islands, though, they still got that. Previously, consumer graphics cards were largely unaffected, but the new rules also restrict sales of NVIDIA's RTX 4090, currently the most powerful gaming card available if you don't count the Blue Eyes like that. Technically, vendors can still apply for special licenses to sell these GPUs, but it's not clear how likely
Real Smeagol
the
expert.
company will also be required to inform the U.S. government before selling chips below the restriction threshold in case somebody decides to, I don't know, buy a whole bunch of slightly inferior chips and then jury-rig them together into a monster Franken chip yearning for love and acceptance in a world that clearly misunderstands. Google Glass may be gone, but the glass holes are back. That's right, with the release of the Meta Quest 3, grown adults with money, not me, have been wearing their fancy new face computers into public, using the device's low latency pass-through mode that allows them to navigate their surroundings without running into walls. That's half the fun. While that's obviously fine if you're just taking your $500 skull accessory on a walk through the park, it raises obvious privacy concerns when random tech bros are exploring the wonder of AR by recording banal interactions with identifiable service workers and posting it on the internet. Sorry, Stacy, who works on the Starbucks on 5th and 7th. And that's a problem that will only get worse next year.
Exactly an
The
exact
coming release
science.
of Meta's far more subtle Ray-Ban smart glasses, which earlier
Oh yes, I imagine this will be entertaining.
the smart glasses have the Hey Meta AI, what's that sound? It's Joshua Hoover. The smart glasses have the obvious advantage that they don't make the wearer look like they lost their mind. But the more pressing disadvantage that they portend the future with literally any
I'm the
douchebag
jump
inside
master.
the face might be secretly recording me. Who says they aren't already?
I guess cold ones after the game are off then.
Many anticipated that Apple would announce new iPads with refreshed chips on Tuesday.
Let's
Instead,
land here.
they were not met with iPads, but the third product to go with
Get ready,
Apple
moving up.
no doubt as punishment for Gary trying to get things but a glimpse of Apple's reasoning would be nice to help the new $80 pencil it charges exclusively for the USB-C port, being under a slider on its head. But it's much better than the first-gen pencils accidentally have used. But it can still attach magnetically to the USB. And it's just not to become a case model iPad, thanks to Apple's
First blood, contains none.
It's not compatible with the iPad now. It also doesn't have pressure sensitivity, support
We're
for
not all
double
in the
tap
ring.
gestures,
Check your
and you can't
positions.
even engrave it, for Christ's sake. What if I want to send one to my mom that says, I love you, Mom, here's the third Apple Pencil? But none of that really matters for a big enough chunk of Apple fans who'll just buy the new one and ask us why it's not charging magnetically. Ask actual iPad refreshes. Those will probably arrive in the spring or summer, maybe alongside a 14 iPad, which I will purchase immediately. I mean, the other ones folded and prior to that. Just the one time. Now it's time for Quick Fix, brought to you by Seasonic, the company that makes spectacular power supplies, but I'm here to tell you about their MagFlow 120mm fans today. The same fans that kept your power supply. You now keep your computer nice and cool. And their snappy magnetic connection system makes installation simple. guess you could say I'm a huge supporter of the mag flow. If you want your rig to be more one, you can get individual mag flow or start chaining them together in a 3-pack by checking out the link below. Can you say quick bits? No, you can't, because you're not hosting this video. I am. I get to read them. No one can stop me, not even the editor. You won't cut me off. I'm the key. New York legislators have proposed a new bill that will require a criminal background check to buy any 3D printer that could theoretically print all or part of a firearm, which, unfortunately,
There's a new
is
kill leader.
most
No need to make
Gun
Gonna
Digest
need a
recommends
last
the
package.
Creality Ender 3v2 or the Prusa i3 MK3S Plus. Excellent style 3D printers, the cheapest, most common kind of 3D printer. So if you're a New York resident with a felony conviction and a Warhammer addiction, this could seriously cramp your style. I mean, unless you like the physics from Put the printer down! AMD has released a new beta driver, which disables its Radeon Anti-Lag Plus technology in all supported games after the feature and its predecessor, Anti-Lag Non-Plus, led to a wave of player bans in CS2, Apex Legends, and unfortunately, AMD recommended using its anti-lag to decrease latency caused by their fewer motion frames after enabling that in all DX11 games. Like your friend told me that the best way to get promoted at work was to find the most powerful person and punch them in the face. And all that did was make Linus angry. Qualcomm, in collaboration with Google, has announced development of the first ever mass-market RISC-V Android SoC. Google announced RISC-V software support for Android OS late last year. Now Qualcomm are developing a yet unnamed RISC-V Snapdragon SoC for wearable devices to act as the necessary partner. If successful, this could present a serious competitive threat to ARM, as RISC-V's open source architecture means it can be both cheaper and more flexible to implement. My ARM's pretty flexible. I'm asking about my legs. ARM is already suing Qualcomm over license fees and losing ground to RISC-V in China due to export
Extended
restrictions.
header mag
As if
here.
these companies
Leather
needed
one.
anything else to make Thanksgiving more awkward. Frickin' China! ARM,
We should
stop
move here.
talking about China around the table. The IRS is advancing a pilot program that will allow residents in 13 states to electronically file their tax returns directly with the IRS in 2024. The pilot is a response to a long-standing issue going back to 2001, when the IRS partnered with tax preparation companies to offer taxpayers a simple returns, a free alternative for filing their taxes. Those companies then made those free alternatives harder to find than a reason to get up or a reason to go to bed at night. Why is it both? When the IRS banned them from doing that, both H&R Block
I
and
think I hear
Intuit,
enemy
the makers of
activity this
TurboTax,
way.
left
Come and
the
get your birthday
Intuit has
present.
been lobbying against direct filing for over a decade, arguing that free alternatives are already available, which they are, you're just never going to find them. And I'm going to stay in bed late. Slimbook and Fedora Project announced a new Linux-optimized laptop, the Fedora Slimbook. So named after Fedora Slim, a hard-boiled private detective who was also the Marlboro Man. The laptop comes with a 12th gen Intel Core i7-12700H processor, an RTX 3050 Ti graphics card, up to 64 GB of RAM, a 4 TB NVMe SSD, and a 16-inch 3K 90Hz display. The device comes loaded with software from Linux distribution Fedora, which is an absolutely wild coincidence, and features the
Why are you
Gnome
coming to
desktop
me? You
device.
guys, what are you
Slimbook will be
doing?
donating 3%
That's not where you wanna
of the
go.
Fedora Slimbook to the Gnome
Oh my
Foundation,
god.
which provides end-of-life care for elderly garden gnomes. Rest in peace, Papa Smurf. You will be missed. And nobody will know if you don't come back for more Tech Link on Friday, but I'll still feel it in my heart. Where's Papa Smurf and now this? Why would you do this, Jerry?
Perhaps we shift our orbit this way.
You could always operate 16, make a living in job control.
Well, what happened was, you know, I came back after doing this model, and this model was never really very satisfying because, you know, the people at Scott Paper, you know, sort of didn't really care.
Right.
So anyway, I decided that I was going to go to work somewhere else, and my boss at Snapper Stafford had left me with the Union Carbide. So I queried Mark Cuban Carbide about whether or not they might have a job.
collecting materials.
Replicator incoming.
I had to interview them. Anyway, about the same time, I interviewed at the engineering department. They had a group there that was called Real-Time Systems,
Science folk call. A
and
baddie.
they built some real-time systems.
Firing on our
So
foes.
I thought that was a pretty good job.
Frag thrown.
But their offer came back
Pitching a
kind of
frag.
weak. I thought it was weak. I
You
accepted
guys should
the
get over to
job,
me while you can.
Broken enemy shield.
only to find out about a week later that the job at the engineering department was paying much more than I thought it was.
Firing a
They
copy
sent all
capability.
the stuff. They
Let me
sent
show you how it's
tickets and
done.
everything.
Already pals. I'm using a copycat ability.
What a career decision that was. I would
Rings
end up
near.
being a
Smart
cobalt
bullet
player.
away.
I thought
Rude.
so anyway, I mentioned the engineering department
Enemy
for real-time systems. And I can't remember exactly what the system did. Any of the
Rings near, darling.
computers were
We've
Bunker
got all
Ramo
45 seconds of
340s.
free time.
Reloading.
The Bunker Ramo 340 was a 28-bit machine. Interesting machine. The first thing I did there was they wanted
Not
to
far from the
build,
ring, half a minute.
automatic
Another squad
analysis of
strikes. Act swiftly.
Instron pencil test.
Here's your birthday
Instron is a
present.
machine that basically pulls things
Opening
apart.
fire. Smart bullets
So
found
they'll
its
automate
mark.
it.
Broken enemy shield. Reloading.
Helmet here.
I wrote the program
Level
that
2.
reflected all the data.
Evo shield here.
Full
Level
shield up there, Pink.
Being shot at.
And,
Rude.
Being shot at.
Broken enemy shield.
because you're pulling this apart, not anything at really rapid speed. It's
Took
sort
'em
of
down.
like this.
Focus.
So again, I'm bored.
Shields
There's nothing to
recharging.
do. Well, it's not bored
Reloading.
stuff. If I'm bored because the same 1107 was right down
Care packaging.
the hall from me. They had a group of about 3 people that supported that.
Need a moment to heal.
And so I went down and said, hey, and they said, yeah, did you do something? So I started work on Exec 2,
That way you call.
which was the 1107 operating system at that time,
Indubitably.
which was a batch system, but it was fast. It was really fast. We could run batch systems faster than, really
Whole
fast.
enemy squad has
And it was a fast machine, and then eventually went to the 1108. So that's where I really got into the operating system part. And every night at 5 o'clock,
reloading. Killed an
we
enemy.
kick off the operators. We get the machine.
Firing a smart bullet.
So in the first 2 hours,
An enemy squad. Mind your cards. I'm
Oh,
down.
just code.
Gonna bash yourself.
And
Here's a pick me up.
debuggers is switches on lots of switches to the 1107.
Damn it.
And,
I
so it was kind of, it was very interesting. A lot of interesting concepts in the system.
On your feet, darling. Plenty of night lifting.
Fast without sugar.
Tight up. On your feet, darling. Plenty of fight lifting.
And so we end up with a dual PDP-10 system,
Shooting at me.
sharing memory,
shot at.
and
Replenishing my
we
shield.
had a
Recharging my
PDP-8
shield.
PDP-8
45
front end,
seconds, rings
all
just
the
up
terminal
ahead.
data. And the dual PDP-10 we ran top 10 on one of them, and then we ran another system that share that one? Shared memory,
30
yeah.
seconds,
Yeah.
rings close.
Shared memory, we had, I think, 32 kilobyte keywords, 32 keywords of shared
I cracked that
memory.
hooligan shield.
Then I think
Shredded that
it's
foe
all
shield.
16K
Smart bullets hunting foes.
non-shared memory.
The shield's recharging.
So
None
we
for
could
that
dump
small
data.
grenade.
Make pop that close.
So from there I went to digital. And so
Hostile right here.
You can get me if you hurry.
Hey everybody,
They can't see you from here.
We've got another Amazon tech call to do today, our third one. I know how much you all
Thank
enjoy the
you.
last two, so I've been out looking for interesting little tech doodads and gadgets that we can talk about today, and there's some wacky stuff in the box this time as well. And we're going to get into this in just a second, but I do want to let you know in the interest of full disclosure that all of this
There's
stuff
no way to-
came
yeah,
in free
we-
of charge through the Amazon Vine program.
Good try, but-
I've not had any direct contact with any of the
Should've come to me right
manufacturers who sent
away.
this stuff to the channel. This is not a sponsored review, and no one is reviewing or approving what you're about to see before it was uploaded, so all of the opinions you're about to hear are my own. So let's get into it now and see what's in the box. Alright, so let's start off with probably the biggest item here. This one's kind of unexpected, because typically when we think about Sherry for keyboards, we think about premium mechanical switch keyboards. But did you know that Cherry also makes less expensive stuff, and this is their KW3000 wireless keyboard. It is very reasonably priced, and it is, I believe, a membrane keyboard, so it's not going to have any of those clicky mechanical keys. But if you like Cherry quality, we got a couple of chargers. We're going to start with this one. This is the charge my Apple Pencil full. It's on this as well.
Oh my god, this is the dumbest shit I've ever seen.
Maximum frame rate of video is going out over the part of it.
I can't stand any of this.
Ways to enjoy some
This
of
is
your
the dumbest
classic
video.
NES games.
Give me that, give me that, give me that.
up and ready to burn.
Members of the Biden administration and federal officials are telling HuffPost that they feel silenced and unable to engage legitimate debate about what is happening on the ground in Gaza. As the civilian death toll among Palestinians skyrockets, those who want to talk about Israeli restraint or humanitarian protections for Palestinians feel particularly stifled. And we have some quotes to share with you from that report. Now, several of these staffers across multiple federal government agencies, most of whom do work on national security issues, told HuffPost that their colleagues worry about retaliation at work for questioning Israel's conduct. Now, the period since the Hamas attack represents the first time in the administration that there was a real culture of silence, one official said. It feels like post 9/11, where you feel like your thoughts are being policed and you're really afraid of being seen as anti-American or an anti-Semite. In fact, one civil servant who spoke to Huffington Post or HuffPost expressed tensions between their job and also challenging human rights abuses. They don't want to lose their jobs, they don't want to deal with retaliation, but they have concerns, moral concerns about human rights abuses. I'm trying to educate people about Palestine through social media, but I'm worried I'll lose my security clearance for criticizing the president or blaming the United States for civilian massacre. I feel like there's no place for me in America anymore. And I'm on thin ice with my clearance because of my heritage and because I care about my people dying. Obviously, this civil servant spoke to the press anonymously and refers to his or her heritage. So I'm guessing that this is either a Palestinian or an Arab individual. But some officials say that the administration is now falling back into bad old habits rather than taking advantage of the personnel it recruited. Remember, the Biden administration really loves to pat itself on the back for the diversity within its administration. But oftentimes, to me at least, it feels like they engage in tokenism and aren't actually concerned about the input that a diverse staff might want to provide. And I think this is an example of that. One reason to want a diverse staff is to have a variety of inputs into your decision-making, not just to check a box on a little quota sheet. You want to benefit from the more informed decision-making that happens from a broader set of experiences, having a seat at the table. But there's more. Others said that the inner circle on these issues is not at all diverse, does not completely explain the monstrous disregard for innocent Palestinian lives, or does that completely explain the monstrous disregard for innocent civilian lives? No, but it's hard to think these things are entirely disconnected. And one official initially felt unable to even highlight concerns about the consequences for Palestinians in policy discussions. It took me till Wednesday or Thursday, I'm assuming this is after the October 7th Hamas terrorist attack, to have the courage to say, I don't think it would be good for America if we are seen as responsible for killing Palestinian children. There was awkward silence, like a pin could drop, and I'm like, are they going to report me to the House Un-American Activities Committee? And things have apparently gotten so tense within the Biden administration with this dissent over how the United States government is just showing unwavering commitment to the Israeli government.
The fuck just happened?
That on Sunday, Presidential Personnel Office Chief Gautam Raghavan actually organized a call with close to a dozen current and former high-level Muslim appointees to discuss their concerns. They felt that their voices weren't being heard. Some staffers said that they felt unsafe voicing their opinions around colleagues, according to a person on the call, which has not been previously reported. Now, I share this with you to note that there are people within the Biden administration who have deep concerns with the ongoing brutality toward Palestinian civilians. I also share this news with you because it is clear to me that the United States government has decided to support whatever Israel does. And so when President Joe Biden goes on the world stage and claims that Israel has been cleared of any wrongdoing in that hospital explosion, and that his State Department provided data that leads him to believe that, you have to excuse me for being skeptical, because it appears that there is currently an environment in which Biden wants to hear certain things and silence dissent. And if that's the case, how are we to just trust what's coming out of the Biden administration in regard to their intelligence in Gaza? That's why I would like to wait a little longer for an independent third-party investigation into what happened in that hospital explosion. That's what I would like to do. You're free to believe whatever you'd like to believe. But again, outside of that hospital explosion, we cannot ignore other healthcare facilities that have been targeted, entire residential buildings leveled, entire residential neighborhoods in Gaza leveled. The fact that 22 hospitals in Gaza were given evacuation orders by the Israeli government and the IDF. Why do you think they wanted to evacuate those hospitals? Inpatient hospitals where people are on life support. Babies that are in the, ICU unit. Elderly people who need dialysis treatment. My mom had to go through dialysis. I can't even imagine not having access to that and being told to evacuate a hospital when you are in need of medical care. So all of these things matter. And what I definitely have a huge problem with is that there seems to be a double standard where we acknowledge, and I think this is the right thing to do, the disgusting terrorist attacks that killed Israeli citizens, civilians. Absolutely abhorrent, disgusting behavior that has been condemned on the show multiple times. But if you're disgusted by those
Can we craft him?
and the brutality that Israeli civilians face, you can't then turn around
Or do you want to land on
and
him?
just minimize the brutality toward Palestinian civilians. And that's exactly what the United States government is doing right now.
Your choice.
It's embarrassing, and I can't stand for it.
Well,
Hey, thanks for watching the video. We really appreciate it, guys. And we appreciate it if you become members because that allows us to be independent, honest, progressive, all the things that you don't get from corporate media. All of that is because of you guys. Hit the join button below and become one of us.
Let's go inside. Let's take this tower and go that way.
I following you.
Was it always operating system too? Or was it make a living in job control language or anything?
Well, what happened was
It's
Bob Becky from Intel here, and I'm in the A1111 Web UI interface for Stable Diffusion, and I'm excited to show you guys how to generate amazing images using this tool, powered by the Accelerate with OpenVINO script and using an Intel Arc GPU. Before we get into that,
You got a mobile respawn? Is there one in there?
my timeline versus yours.
No, there's
Because
not.
It's the fall of 2023 for me, and if you're in the far distant future, things can be very
I got a tower if you want to put it out and go back to somewhere to get him up.
quite a bit fast. So be mindful of that. Videos like
You want to run there or you want to tower it?
in time.
I'd
Okay,
rather
so
run on
I
the
also
right.
have to tell you that this is not an installation instruction video. This is a video about how to use A1111 with the Accelerate with OpenVINO script. But I'll give you a little bit of background to help you out and move in that direction. So to learn how to install, you can go over to my article here. If you go to arc.intel.com, scroll down, you'll see my beautiful face down there. In this article that I wrote on 3 ways to generate AI. Let me go into that article here. In there, you'll see an area for A1111. Scroll down to that, and you'll find a link, and that will take you over to this article here, which is part of the GitHub repository. And this is where you can download the code in order to install A1111.
Are you getting shot at?
No, I'm holding team off.
Alright, there's some shit here for you. There's an Evo shield, and if you can get, there's a gun here.
Let's get going.
Vault SMG here.
Okay, here we are back in Automatic 1111, so let's get started. The first thing you want to do to get this working with your Intel hardware is to go down to this scripts area down here and select Accelerate with OpenVINO. If you don't have that an option, then you probably didn't install the OpenVINO version of 8.11. So go back to the overview about that, or check the link in the description below. One quick part of the feature that everything is there. Anyways, for everybody else, let's go ahead and move forward here. The next thing you're going to do is select a device. You can select your CPU or your GPUs. GPU 0 is almost always going to be your integrated graphics, and GPU 1 should be my Intel Arc GPU. So within Task Manager, I can see these things. GPU 0 is my integrated graphics, and then this is my Arc A770. So with that selected, I'm going to check a couple of other things. I'm going to do something that's a little bit more.
This is not as easy to do against Windows. I tried to anything can interrupt the signal. Anything. If it's especially the wireless stuff. That stuff that's very difficult to manage when you're in an environment that is just it's flooded, right? With all sorts of access point signals bouncing. Those are the ones that you can see, right? I mean, I'm sure if you had a tracking mechanism, you could see anything and everything, not just the wireless networks that are bouncing about, you know, where you happen to be. If it's Bluetooth and it doesn't need to be on, it's on. If it's something that might have a wireless signal, I don't need it, I want to turn it off. So I do my best to eliminate those things. I'm not going to stop using a microwave. I'm not going to stop using things on these spectrums, because that's just, especially when it tilts into impractical. But I think very, very much about how to maximize, specifically, this is probably more on the wireless side of the thing, or if on the spectrum, if I can use that phrase, this is more of a relevant tip. You've got a lot of signals bouncing around, and any kind of interference can cause issues. This is going to get mitigated, I believe, over time with, you know, better access points or better, you know, revisions to the Wi-Fi standards. I do my best to eliminate any kind of rogue devices to minimize interference. Another thing that I do to boost internet speeds is I have a router, or specifically an access point, that auto-optimizes. And this is something that when Toxic and I recently did the video about, you know, the one trick that saved my home network speeds, or whatever we happen to title it, and I'm still so grateful for that tip. What tip, Chris? You can watch that video. It's already published in the channel. That would be a half-hour video. We're not going to do that right now. The wireless access point that I have auto-optimizes the channel. So as I said, I'm kind of in a dense area where a signal over here is broadcasting on channel 6. Well, if I was already on channel 6, suddenly I got interference. Well, my access point is constantly polling and saying, oh, it's on 6, I'm switching over to, what, 11, or I'm switching over to this channel, that channel. So it's always optimizing, and I don't have to worry about it. There are some access points for routers, if they're an all-in-one type of device, and I'm sorry if I keep tapping the mic there, I'm Italian, so I keep knocking into it.
Ain't nothing better than waiting. Except for bloody everything
The
else.
wireless channel
It's time to impress.
has saved me headaches to the point where I don't even realize how many headaches it's saved. If you don't have a piece of hardware,
Today's a
hardware,
good day to
specifically
cheat
an
death.
access point where something that's broadcasting your wireless signal, that's auto-optimizing the channel on a regular enough basis, you're potentially running into issues where you don't even realize you're running into them. And re-optimizing and having to do that manually is just too tedious. And I think it's too tedious for most people. So most people don't even think about it. They don't even think about it. But that, to me, keeps me at top speed. Maximizing the throughput, minimizing the packet loss, and having all those optimizations happen automatically, it's turned easier. So if you don't have something like that on your network appliance, specifically the access point, you may want to be upgrading your equipment. And I'd imagine many of the people that are watching this video probably already have something that automatically selects. But if you're not having something that automatically do it, then you've got to keep in mind you need to be paying far more attention than you are. Because if you're always set at a certain channel, your neighbor may not, or a new neighbor may move in, or another access point may come in. So that's something that I feel has boosted my internet speed in magnitudes, because I just don't have to think about it. Auto optimization. Another thing that I did, and this was not exactly intuitive to me, but in doing some research, with my particular access points, you can set the transmitter power. So you can choose like low, medium, high, or auto. Now most people you think in Toxic, you might dive into this separately, but or after I'm through, or if you want to interrupt here at this point, that's fine as well. I'm getting a little lightheaded. I'm talking so much. But you think, oh, high transmit power is better. That means it gets more signal. But it turns out, no, that's not necessarily the case. And so what I tried messing manually. I'm like, do I go low, medium, high, and the way my topology and how the network works, the device is connected. And ultimately, I went with auto, and that has given me top internet speeds across the board. Every time I do a test now, low ping times, like 12, 15 milliseconds at the router level. In bandwidth is 100, in many ways, 110% more than the speeds that I'm paying for. But the big factor for me was being able to set that transmitter power manually to auto, rather than having it set at a certain level that was just pre-configured and locked. So I'm curious. I'll break myself. Toxic. Am I right? High is not necessarily the most intuitive setting for a transmitter power for wireless.
Yeah, I mean that's correct. You can introduce more radio noise if you're just constantly blaring out the loudest signal. If you've got devices close to your access point, or you've got a small apartment or something like that, you don't need to be broadcasting your signal to 1 or 2 houses over. You need your signal where you need it. So, yeah, we can get into that another time, or maybe see we'll touch on that. But, yeah, you got the gist down for sure.
Okay. Yeah, I was curious to know, specifically what issue it introduced, and you pointed out the radio signal.
Is that something that you can do in most consumer router access points?
That would be an access point thing, and I guess that would be conditioned on the firmware.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Access points, it depends on the vendor. Usually your all-in-one router box, that I'll call it. They typically don't have a setting where you can just let it auto-adjust. Some do, some don't, but general.
See, again, I come back to the equipment. It's like, hey, if I'm paying for these gigabit speeds, I want to get as much as I possibly can. And this to me is the biggest bottleneck. Your network appliance or appliances that are bringing that connection into your home are critical. You can't spend $5,000 on a PC and then cheap out with a $100 router. I'm sure some people, all you got to do is like, no, dude. Hey, if you want to be a network admin at home, knock yourself out. And I've learned enough to be dangerous, certainly. But having all these features, these they're not even power user features. They're features that make sense for prosumers, and specifically the people that are like PC people who game, people who you love technology. They really need to think twice. You need to think twice about that network equipment you have, because it could very well be the bottleneck that would allow you to better optimize the speed that you're paying for. And the throughput may not be good, because you can't handle the device itself. It doesn't have enough CPU power. It doesn't have enough memory to be able to handle the bandwidth that you're paying for the amount of packets or traffic that you're passing through. Oh, I'm sorry, I thought I heard you.
No, I was just trying to say that, yeah, I really want to dive deeper with my network with you, Brad, at some point. Like I said, because I have a high-end PC, and I have a decent, stable, high connection speed. I can do a speed test and have You know, I pay for a gig. Of course, I'm capped at 40 up because it's on cable. But a lot of times I'll hit, you know, over that 1 gig, you know, 1.1, 1.2. But I want to make sure that I'm utilizing that to its fullest capacity. And right now, I don't think that I am.
Yeah, we can definitely take a look at it.
And it's a process of elimination.
Yeah, and to touch on it for the viewers as well, if you want to know if you're in a Wi-Fi congested area, there's tons of apps that you can download on your smartphone. And it puts your Wi-Fi chip into what they call promiscuous mode. And basically what that just means is that it just is able to accept any current broadcast, and it'll feed that information to you. It's not actively connecting to it. But on the app, it'll tell you what channel it is, and it'll have like the usage or what access points are using those channels graphic, so that you can pinpoint yours out and say, well, you know, it's congested down here, that's where mine's at. I'm going to change my channel to something that's higher this time.
But see, this is where I come back to let your network appliance, specifically your access point, do it for you. Let it auto-optimize. And I think it can be done nightly, hourly, whatever the configuration you have. Yeah, the interval. Automatic is just saves so much stress. So much. I just don't think about it.
Yeah, if you have the ability to do auto, definitely set
that. The next thing that I do to boost my internet speed is I try to find the best middle ground for wireless channel width. So this is different from the wireless channel, as in channel like 1, 11, if you're on what, 2.4 classic Wi-Fi, or you know, the other spectrum, 5 gigahertz, 6 gigahertz. There's also channel width. And Brad could probably better explain it, but effectively, like for Wi-Fi classic 802.11b, right? You've got 20 hertz and 40 hertz. Am I right? Did I get that right? Okay. And you can toggle between the two. 5 gigahertz, you've got different intervals. Off the top of my head, like 20, 40, 80. It's something like once, like it goes up. Like far from an expert, I'm just telling you, this is what I've done to optimize or boost my internet speed. And so I've tried different channel widths and recognized that it's kind of like a seesaw, right? If you tilt this direction,
where are you shooting?
Might get, you know, the throughput might be
They're already dead. It was a solo.
There's a bunch of shit on the backside of this on those bins.
Further range from the access point, but the throughput may not be as strong. So ultimately, trying to find that balance with the middle ground channel width is a matter of troubleshooting. What, you know, if you're at an extreme point in your house, things are not happening right, well, then you may need to move your channel width, you know, the lower direction, right? You know, drop your hertz versus, hey man, I don't have great throughput, I'm not that far from the access points for both your devices. Well, then up your channel width through the roof, as long as your devices can handle it. So that's something that I have found. Again, prosumer level access point should allow you to configure this as well, setting your channel width. That can boost your internet speed. It can improve your throughput, which by
how are we getting out of here? Through this way?
Let's go that way. That's something that I've not even thought about. Is channel width. You know, like I said, anything that we're discussing tonight, networking for a consumer level is probably where I'm lacking the most. And I'm probably the most ignorant on it. So yeah, no, this is all great.
And Brad, did I explain that the channel width well enough? Like the seesaw and the hertz is going higher, distance, etc.
Yeah, you did. I'm a visual learner, so maybe somebody that's also visual might not know what you're talking about specifically by channel. For me, the way I can visualize it and explain it best to people.
Careful, those guys are closer behind than you think.
What they call the sine wave.
Well, let's get over this way and go left.
Put that S curve up and down
Gotcha.
halfway through. The curve, at how fast that goes up and down, that's the hertz, right? So the faster, the 40 megahertz.
There's a tower over there if you want to use that.
And that's compressed its way really, really fast. That frequency has trouble going through walls, obstacles, that kind of thing. It's really good at line of sight communication. So once you start introducing windows and screens, inner windows, that kind of thing, wiring, walls, whatever it may be, it has trouble penetrating that. When you get to the 20, I think it's megahertz.
The 5 gigahertz versus 2.4 gigahertz, but that's specifically your spectrum, right? Yeah. Wi-Fi, 2.4 versus the 5 gigahertz spectrum. It's 20 megahertz versus 40 megahertz. Then for 5 gigahertz, it's 20 megahertz, 40 megahertz, 80 megahertz, 160 megahertz. So it's big hertz, but then breakdowns of the channel width within that spectrum.
Yeah. So the lower the number, the more spread out that signal is. Okay. And that the data transfer is not going to be as fast, but it's able to penetrate items or go a little bit further. Whereas if you've got a really fast signal up to that 100
Hostile
gigahertz, or
spotted.
80, whatever it may
Pretty
select,
sure there's someone there. I
your
heard someone sliding.
distance in theory is going to get shorter, but it's going to get faster. So kind of think of it in that regard.
So it's about just kind of finding that, pressing the dial and going, well, I can get better here or here, and finding that where that middle ground is. So I'm sorry for misspeaking and saying 20 hertz versus megahertz.
I got three, so it's all good.
No, it's okay. Like I said, sometimes it's difficult even for me to visualize.
Round 3. Beginning ring countdown. They're shooting at me. Charging on my shields.
Which way?
Delivering replicator.
I'm spotted, taking fire.
The only time I've ever heard of Sniper War was when it was exposed.
Getting attacked by another squad. Charging my shields. Charging shields.
Help if you need it.
Two there. One hard right. Hurt. Hard right hurt. Yep, you got him.
Taking fire. You see that? Go up faster.
Attention. Kill leader has been eliminated.
Pick me up, I can get him up.
Contact with hostile.
Hey, can't believe I'm standing still.
8 seconds.
Octavio Silva and AJJ. Back on your train.
Give me a sec. Healing. Here's drone if you need it. Recharging my shield.
Shot at. 1 sec. Using my Phoenix kit. Look out, grenade. Shot at. I'm down. No bueno.
If you picked me up first, I could have given that guy my little bot to pick him up. Why would you do that? You just did some stupid shit.
Fine going forward. There is accountability when it comes to Israel's government. Whether you like Israel's government or not, that government can be unelected. People don't do what they want to do. But Hamas isn't accountable to anything. They haven't had elections since the mid-2000s. Hamas is essentially the government of the West Bank. Hamas is the Palestinian Health Service, the original group that reported the strike. Hamas.
Bring on the stop. Down to the Tennessee 26 for a gain of 4, bringing up 3rd and 6th.
Bro, did you see the post game? Did that get? I don't think that got out.
I don't think. Why? What happened?
Dude, I'm sitting there after the game. I jersey swapped with a dude. So like, it took me a while. So I'm like taking my jersey off, and like I saw Jeffrey Simmons, and he's looking like this, helmet on,
Helmet on.
Helmet on. I'm like, oh, he must got like family on our team or something. He's still just looking. So like, I'm over here trying to take the jersey on my pads. And then I walk up to him like, I'm thinking like, oh, he wants to show me love. Like, he respects my game. So yeah, bro. And like he wasn't. Like, I really just went up to him. He wasn't waiting on me either. So I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, go holler at somebody. And then as I turn to him, Arpat goes, Rod. Yo, Roddy's our security man. And I'm like, anytime you start yelling security, I'm like, Rod, like, freaking out. Turn around. No way. Bro, pretty sure Dale's grabbing his face mask, like, separating everything. I don't know how this has not hit.
Maybe because you're not supposed to say it.
Lock and load, rinse, repeat. It's that simple.
I can win this thing with one eye closed, or both eyes closed. Hell, I don't even have to show up.
I've got your back. Remember me tell you.
This is your champion.
Follow the leader.
Round 1. Beginning ring countdown.
Say one, we're all inside this ring.
Attention. First blood.
First blood. Gotta be someone. Glad it's not one of us.
Some military arms, rockets and raids. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's quite a few Palestinians who have no love for Israel. They hate Hamas. Well, what can you do? Hamas is in charge, and they have all the guns. Now, Hamas can lie all it wants, and there's really no free press to call them out on the lie. In a way, it's actually disincentivized to tell the truth, because lying has kept them in power for quite a few years, and there's no consequences for caught in a lie. So let's make a probability using ICD with 4 possible scenarios. Number 1, Israel intentionally bombing that hospital. 2, Israel accidentally bombing the hospital. Number 3, Hamas intentionally attacking us. Number 4, Hamas accidentally.
Bam! Bam! I guess
So
I'm
let's
running out
start
of
with
ideas.
number 1. Israel intentionally attacked us. This is the probability. For the most part, Israel is working with JDAM, Cadeway, and small diameter bombs. These are all laser-guided bombs, satellite-guided bombs. The smallest bombs.
Listen up, I'm calling a lifeline package in.
So any kind of bomb
Shield battery here.
Enemy over there.
Run where we were.
Israel know the location of every single hospital. Look at ICD-203 and ask yourself whether it is likely, unlikely, or whatever that Israel knows what.
Bam to the whoop. Shots fired. And they're hitting me. Dupes to the rescue.
Does Israel have a history with that?
Throwing a frag.
Okay, what's the sheet? Israel bomb a hospital that they thought there was a bad guys they really wanted to hit. But if there wasn't a bad guy, what's the game? Israel has the sympathy of the entire world.
1 sec, healing up.
Lay down or up.
Gain more or lose more on attacking the hospital? Is the damage consistent with
right
the
here.
kind of munitions
Recharging
Israel
shields.
has?
One dropped.
Finally, what are the consequences?
Fire.
Everything I said.
Throwing thermite grenade.
Now let's look at
Need a medic. Listen up, I'm getting shot at. Enemy down.
Triple arrow probability
On top of the building behind us.
Alright, killed an enemy.
Contact.
Circular
Just
arrow
relax. I
probability
got everything under control.
is a laser guided bomb.
Recharging my shields.
So, is it likely that Hamas will be hammered to send one of these shots?
Go on now, say hello.
Healing. Watch my back.
Is it possible that there are any
Watching over there.
constructed targets that the area that Israel intended to hit and one of these weapons put off? What are the consequences
Evo shield
if
here.
Israel
Enemy
lies
spotted.
about accidentally hitting the hospital when they were hitting something else? To take out everything that I just told you. Number 3. Could Hamas have intentionally attacked the hospital? Alright. Does Hamas control hospital security and administration? Apparently this explosion occurred in the parking lot. Would they have security people?
You want to back up? You want to go into the fight? What do you want to do? In?
Does Hamas have anything to gain from going up the hospital? Does Hamas gain
Making contact
Someone's
with
up top, I
enemy.
think.
explosion at one of them?
Yep.
Does Hamas have the ability to make rockets?
Come and get your birthday present.
What are the consequences?
Nice.
D1K Slinger says, good with whatever.
Everything that I said,
Getting some damage over here.
finally,
Contact.
could Hamas
Recharging shields.
accidentally hit?
Pretty sure there's someone in here.
Alright, go through. Does Hamas have the ability to make rockets in the course? Now rockets that have been fired by Hamas have landed in Gaza.
Coming, you staying.
What do you
Let's back up. I'll throw. Yep, back up.
Was there a rocket attack going on?
Let's move what we can.
The hospital's kind of in the middle of Gaza. So, really, all you kind of need to do is figure out the range.
Fight right outside of the
of
store.
rockets that Hamas fires. In this case, it could be a Qassam rocket, which has a range of about 16 kilometers.
Closed door here.
Just draw a 16 kilometer circle.
Got a closed door here.
One climbed up above us. Let's just get back. We can do this. Follow this dude.
Replicator on its way
Or
down.
even a large backyard. Launch a rocket from that might go over.
One slid past you already.
So figure that out. Take everything that I said and score it. Now, there are a couple of outlines. Accidents happen during wartime. Forklift could have dropped a propane tank that set off those cascaded explosions. Somebody could have been trying to steal gas by puncturing the gas tank of the car with a nail and boom, right? But those are outlines. Now, there's an old saying in medicine that your hoof beats and horses, not seats. So for a moment, forget about video and audio. A lot of that stuff,
1 minute till close.
what can't be faked is the benefits. What can't be faked are the systems possessed by each party in the conflict. What can't be faked is the likelihood that a particular
You're not
party
coming back.
Rings close. 45
So,
seconds.
let me know in the comments below
shields
what
ready.
Throwing
the
Arc Star.
score each possible.
Arcstar out.
Alright, decoy escape deployed.
Taking fire. Cracked an enemy's shield. Reloading.
Looks like only half the squads are left. decoy. Wait, how do I know I'm not the decoy? Existential.
Pop and smoke. Give my shields a recharge.
Enemy over there.
What is electromechanical machining?
10 seconds.
So electrical machining is a process.
In progress.
Let's go that way.
Bam, there. Let's check out over there.
Listen up, the ring's moving.
Confirmed hit on target. Cracked an enemy shield.
Just
pop and smoke.
Check it out. Care package coming in. Bam! There goes the boozle. Booze. Something like that.
Give it
Well, we're ready to rock.
come and get your birthday present. Hostile spotted. Unspotted, taking fire.
Reloading.
Give him my shield to recharge.
Give me a sec. Recharging shields.
Just giving my shields a recharge.
Countdown.
Evo shield here. Level 3. Just gotta patch myself up.
No, don't use that. I was trying to wait for the other dude to come out, but...
1 minute. Things
Health
nearby.
drone here. Come get your fill.
Give my shields a recharge.
Check out that replicator coming in.
Rings next door. 45.
Syringe here. "30 seconds. Rings close." Got some materials here.
Got some materials for us.
Rings around the corner. Listen up, I'm getting shot at.
Get to bamboozling. I got some materials.
Come on, stay in. Recharging my shields. Looks like a care package is coming in. Big things in that.
Come on in. Old Painless is waiting. Healing. Watch my back.
Beginning ring countdown.
Get to me, I can heal you.
I'm down.
Pass me that shoe. Don't worry, I got a squad mate spanner.
I get my bricks at 12 says, I couldn't move BC of ULT.
45
I get
seconds,
my
rings
bricks
just
at
up
12
ahead.
says, Bangalore was caught in the blast. I get my bricks at 12 says, my B.
Calling in a lifeline
Bro,
package.
I think I got a
Not far
tower.
from the ring. Health drone if you need it.
We might be able to get to that drop and pick him up if you want to try.
Valuable respawn beacon.
If I had this the whole time, I'm an idiot. I'm
Rings
fucking
around
sorry.
the
I'm sorry,
corner.
bro.
10 left.
I know I'm gonna get you.
In progress.
Listen up, the ring's moving.
Sorry, dude.
Here I come. Mirage to the rescue. After being rescued.
Got a bow check here.
Bad news. I'm down.
Enemies drop down near me.
Folks, enemies here.
Contact.
Ah, fuck me up here.
Broken enemy shield. Reloading.
We fought. This makes you brave.
Scrappy DP says, Auntie.
Three members of a California family have pleaded guilty to their roles in operating a $600 million nationwide catalytic converter theft ring over the past 3 years. Now, before we get into the details of this case, here's a video explaining the catalytic converter theft situation in the country and why it's become more and more common.
This surveillance video showing thieves stealing 9 catalytic converters from school buses in New Jersey. At this RV storage facility near Dallas, they moved with breathtaking efficiency.
I guess they look at it as a shopping mall of catalytic converters.
The converters are embedded in the exhaust systems of most cars and trucks, making auto emissions less harmful. They contain precious metals, including rhodium, palladium, and platinum, whose value has skyrocketed in recent years.
So the catalytic converter itself is not the valuable item. It's the precious metals inside the catalytic converters, which, as you heard in that video, include palladium, platinum, and rhodium. These metals can be more valuable than an ounce of gold, which is insane. And the price for a stolen catalytic converter can vary based on the model and the location in which the thieves are selling them. But the parts generally cost somewhere between $1,000 to $3,000. So if you've been victimized with a catalytic converter theft and you have to replace it, if your insurance doesn't cover it, you're going to have to pay a nice chunk of change. And depending on what kind of model vehicle you have, there could be a long wait because there are back orders for catalytic converters. Luckily, though, there has been a nationwide crackdown on these crime rings, and I love to hear it. And I love to hear that some of these individuals who have been caught have pleaded guilty. So in October and November of 2022, federal, state, and local law enforcement partners from across the United States executed a nationwide coordinated takedown of leaders and associates of a national network of thieves, dealers, and processors for their roles in conspiracies involving stolen catalytic converters sold to a metal refinery for over $600 million. Now, 9 of those 21 defendants, unsurprisingly, if you ask me, were charged in the Eastern District of California. Why do I say it's unsurprising? Because at some point, California just decided to let criminals do whatever they want. And people decided, oh, it's a great opportunity to make money by being thieves. And that's exactly what happened here. Brothers To Su Vang, 32 years old, and Andrew Vang, 28 years old, and their mother, Monica Moa, 58, all pleaded guilty to conspiring to transport stolen catalytic converters from California to New Jersey in return for over $38 million in wired payments. To Su Vang also pleaded guilty to an additional 39 charges related to money laundering. Also charged in the 2022 indictment were 6 co-defendants, all from New Jersey, who operated DG Auto in multiple locations in New Jersey. According to court documents, they knowingly purchased stolen catalytic converters and, through a decanning process, extracted the precious metal powders from the catalytic core. So, here's some more on the co-defendants, which included several other individuals. If you're wondering what kind of lifestyle they were living as they were engaging in these thefts, like maybe they were just down on their luck. Maybe they had no choice. They needed to feed their families, so they stole from their neighbors and the people around them. Maybe that's the case. Except, no, that wasn't the case.
Justice Department says they've taken down a nationwide crime ring involving the theft of catalytic converters.
And this is a national takedown involving the FBI, the IRS, Homeland Security, raids and arrests in 8 states, 21 arrests all told. As you said, forfeitures in the neighborhood of $500 million. And this is really, this is a distribution ring. These people are accused of reselling catalytic converters they knew were stolen, and they made a lot of money. So the feds have seized luxury cars. One of these defendants has an Instagram account with a picture wearing a necklace with a catalytic converter on it.
The defendants charged today are accused of buying the stolen converters, where they go for $1,000 on the black market. One of the accused, Naveen Khanna, posted a photo of a catalytic converter necklace with a winking face emoji on social media. Authorities raided his $1.7 million New Jersey home.
You know, people living in $1.7 million New Jersey homes really down on their luck. They need to feed their children laws. So I don't know if it makes sense to prosecute this poor guy, but I personally love that he was prosecuted, and I love that some of these individuals have already pleaded guilty. What are your thoughts?
Man, so many thoughts go through my mind, honestly, because the sort of carjacking, car thefts, car burglarizing, those crimes have shot way the hell up in California. And somebody like me, you know, who grew up in the 90s where your parents would get out the car and take the face of their freaking car stereo out every single time because they was afraid a crackhead would steal it. I was kind of baffled, honestly, and thinking, what are these people taking? You know, oftentimes they're taking people's laptops and things like that out of the cars, and you know, I guess you could sell that for a small little profit, but this is real actual money. You know, the thought being like, oh, it's guys that are down in their luck and jacking all of these cars and doing this. This is a multi-million-dollar, tens and hundreds of $1,000,000 crime ring. And honestly, if I were to guess, I would venture to guess that that's why this stuff is getting prosecuted. This is very splashy. We know the feds, we know the DOJ, they love money laundering. They love when they can tell people, oh, this involved this and that. This is a really splashy case, so I'm not surprised that federal resources went into stopping it. I don't know if this is necessarily a recipe for stopping the rest of the car crimes that happen in the state.
That's a great point, and I love that you mentioned that. It's a perfect segue to the second part of the story that I want to share with you all, because there are two states that I think we should compare. There's California, which, to California's credit, they're finally starting to take the situation seriously, and they're signing off on certain legislation that has some consequences to deter these catalytic converter thefts. But I want to compare what California is doing and failing at to what Hawaii has done and has succeeded in. So a new report based on insurance claims or insurance claim data released by the National Insurance Crime Bureau shows a surge in catalytic converter thefts across the country. In total, the nation experienced more than 64,000 catalytic converter thefts in 2022. Leading the country are California and Texas, which experienced more than 32,000 catalytic converter thefts last year. So I want to show you this graph that kind of, shows the top states where this crime occurs. California is by far number one with far more catalytic converter thefts than Texas. But California didn't really take this seriously until recently, okay? So I'm going to fast forward to that. So recently, Governor Gavin Newsom signed a bill into law targeting the crime. It's Assembly Bill 641. It was proposed by Assemblyman Vince Fong from Bakersfield, and it's the latest attempt by the state legislature to curb mounting cases of catalytic converter thefts. So here's what it'll do, okay? It will make it a misdemeanor, not a felony. Remember that, a misdemeanor for a person to have 6 or more used converters if they are not a licensed automobile dismantler. Those with a vetted purpose for processing catalytic converters will remain exempt from this law, okay? But remember, if you're caught with 6, and you really have no reason to have 6, you might be charged with a misdemeanor. The bill also allows law enforcement to charge thieves with illegal automobile dismantling in the event they are caught with 9 or more stolen converters. Fines for this can go up to $1,000 per offense. And look, there were 3 other bills that passed in California last year as well. But I would venture to say that they're nothing burgers. For instance, AB 1653 allows the California Highway Patrol's Regional Property Crimes Task Force to provide resources and assist local law enforcement in investigating catalytic converter thefts.
There we go.
SB 1087 limits who can legally sell catalytic converters. AB 1740 requires metal recyclers to maintain documentation.
Throw me the battle royale early, buddy.
By recording the year, make, model, and vehicle ID number or VIN.
Could you imagine?
Similar laws, though, have passed in Hawaii, but I think it's unfair to say similar because their laws actually have teeth.
Just drops
Statistics from the Honolulu Police Department are eye-opening.
Woo! We'd be playing all weekend, buddy.
119 reports of the theft. But at this time, the year before, there were 1,602 and 2,008 reported in 2021. You get what I'm saying here? So Hawaii passed laws. Their laws have more teeth, and they're clearly working. You see it in the numbers. And what do I mean by saying that they have more teeth? Well, first of all, their laws would charge someone caught with stolen catalytic converters with a felony. A misdemeanor is nothing. Let's keep it real. A lot of people get charged with all sorts of misdemeanors in the state. And
we want people to be arrested.
In the end, it'll get pled down to nothing.
Non-violent crimes.
So in Hawaii, they changed the law and made it a crime, a felony compared to a misdemeanor. This happened back in June of 2022. And also, anyone selling the part had to show ID, sign a form saying the part wasn't stolen, among other requirements. So basically making it less profitable to steal the catalytic converters and then sell them for the precious, materials within them. I just think we need to stop kowtowing to people who happen to be activists, who happen to not know what they're talking about, and happen to do nothing other than empower criminal crime rings that are victimizing entire communities with these thefts. Which, look, if you're a working class American living in an incredibly expensive state like California, first of all, even if you haven't been a victim of that theft, your insurance premiums have already gone up as a result of the catalytic converter thefts. So you're paying for it anyway and subsidizing the criminality. But aside from that, if you have been victimized, I mean, we're talking about a situation in which a lot of Americans can't even afford a $400 emergency. Now, imagine having to afford a $1,000 to $3,000 emergency. It is disastrous for people. And it's about time that our elected lawmakers on a state level do the right thing and protect people from these types of crimes. Any final words, Waz?
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think on the state level, that's about as much as you can do, right? Because at the end of the day, the state police, let alone local law enforcement, don't have the resources to chase a crime from California to New Jersey. That's something the feds have to do. And I mean, I don't see them doing much
How could it
else.
take so
And
long
and
to
it'd be
load?
nice if they were actually chipping in and cracking down on these crimes 100%, because they affect everyday citizens and the like. And you know, the funny thing I will say about this, Anna, is that I was listening to Chesa Boudin give an interview a few weeks ago, and you know, it was a lot of ass covering, him trying to explain why things didn't work out for himself in California. And he talked about the sort of dummy cars that they set up in San Francisco, where you know they would put laptops and other goods and electronics in there that would allow them to be stolen, and you know, basically they would track these things to international places. Essentially, this isn't some penny ante crimes, right? Even if those, you know, these punk thieves came and jacked it, whoever's sending them or hiring them are part of some international ring. And I'm just like, Chester, this does nothing for nobody. Your little San Francisco situation can't track people to Vietnam. Like, you can't tell people like this is what you found out and this is what you plan on doing. You have no jurisdiction in Vietnam, but you know who can bring pressure to bear on criminals in Vietnam? The American government can. They've done it all over the freaking world whenever they felt like it, whether it be places like the Middle East with the heroin trade or South America with the cocaine trade. They do this kind of stuff all the time. So to me, yeah, this kind of does have to become a federal issue. Like, you know, do something, do your jobs.
Yep, and it appears that's what's happening, and I'm happy to see it.
Thanks for watching the video, guys. We also love it if you hit the join button below, because that makes you a member, and members allow us to be independent, honest, we can be as progressive as we want, no corporate media influence, and that's all because of you guys. We love doing the show with our members. Hit the join button, become one of the
Hey, it's Bob Beckett from Intel here, and I'm in the A1111 Web UI interface for Stable Diffusion, and I'm excited to show you guys how to generate amazing images using this tool, powered by the Accelerate with OpenVINO script and using an Intel Arc GPU. But before we get into that, we got to talk about timelines. My timeline versus yours, because it's the fall of 2023 for me, and if you're in the far distant future, things may be very different. Gen AI is a new space and it's moving quite a bit fast. So be mindful of that videos like this are a moment in time. Okay, so I also have to tell you that this is not an installation instruction video. This is a video about how to use A1111 with the Accelerate with OpenVINO script. But it is a little bit of background to help you out to move in that direction. So to learn how to install it, you can go over to my article. You go to intel.com, scroll down. You'll see my beautiful face down there. In this article that I wrote on 3 ways to generate AI. Let's go into that article here. And in there, you'll see an area for A1111 with a nice Alchemist character there. Scroll down to that and you'll find a link, and that will take you over to this article here, which is part of the GitHub repository. And this is where you can download the code in order to install A1111. That will use the Accelerate with OpenVINO script. And it's really pretty simple. You follow these instructions. Once you have
You do a forged?
Go. Act fast, Spartan.
Last night, former President Donald Trump once again blasted New York Attorney General Letitia James on Truth Social. Now, this time, he went a little further than usual and even linked to a Substack post by Laura Loomer that included the home address belonging to Letitia James. So, in the post, Trump wrote the following. Her fake case against me should be dropped immediately. My financial statements are extremely conservative, so this is the civil case having to do with financial fraud. That's what he's referring to. And her numbers were way off, including the fact that she undervalued Mar-a-Lago and Doral by billions of dollars. She also didn't reveal the 100% disclaimer clause at the front of the financial statement, and that she sued me after or under the statute that was never used before, with judges and election interference all wrapped up in one,
I don't know how I got out of that, but I did.
She's decided to mix up one person with another person that has a similar name. I mean, it's like a black hole report. So the point is, what she put on Substack included the home address of Letitia James. Now, with that out of the way, I do think it's important to give you an update on what's been happening with the case to begin with. So apparently, in addition to doxing AG Letitia James, a state attorney has asked Judge Arthur Engoron to silence Trump after he interrupted a witness during a heated exchange during his fraud trial. This took place today. Now, what happened? Trump attorneys accused a witness of perjury, and during which an excited Trump interrupted the testimony and drew an objection from attorney for the state, Kevin Wallace. Trump, who has been sitting at the counsel table with his attorneys, Chris Paz and Alina Nakano, had a noticeable response when real estate appraiser Doug Larson denied having conversations with Trump Organization controller Jeffrey McConey about the value of Trump's 40 Wall Street property in 2013. Okay, so let's back up a little bit. Remember, this financial fraud case has to do with Trump and the Trump Organization allegedly inflating the value of assets fraudulently in order to obtain insurance and loans from banks. So that fraud would land any of us if we are proven to have committed that fraud. Because remember, the one crime that gets taken very seriously in the United States is any crime impacting financial institutions and the elite. Okay? Now, Trump doesn't think he should have to abide by the same laws that you and I have. In the financial fraud case,
Double kill.
the prosecution brought forth this
I love you!
who was actually listed
I've never heard that one before.
various Trump properties. Okay, so Doug Larson is his name. His name appears across 5 years of Donald Trump's financial documents, according to the records that were entered into this civil trial. Larson was cited in Trump Organization documents as an expert that valued properties like 40 Wall Street, Trump Tower, and an adjoining retail space called Nike Town. Spreadsheets entered as evidence explicitly reference multiple phone calls with Larson between 2013 and 2017. So the prosecutors are like, okay, cool, so this is the appraiser for the properties. He's the one listed in the documents for these Trump properties. So let's have him testify in this case and hear what he has to say. Well, Larson today testified that he never appraised those properties. The former president made an inaudible comment. He sat out on the table and conferred with his lawyers. That prompted State Attorney Kevin Wallace to Judge Warren to tell Trump to refrain from making comments. Can the defendant please stop commenting during the witness's testimony, Wallace said. I believe extortations, I should say, are audible on the side of the as well.
What?
Warren, though, declined to specifically tell Trump to refrain from commenting.
No.
I will ask everyone to be quiet when the witness is testifying. Now, this is the second time that Trump, by the way, has doxed someone in as many, in like recent weeks, basically. So that's the doxing of AG Letitia James' home. And recently also posted the name, photo, and private Instagram account for Judge Arthur Engoron's personal law clerk and claimed that she was Chuck Schumer's girlfriend, which is a lie and completely unfounded. But this is what Trump does. He just engages in like these intimidation tactics because he's and it's all being proven in real time, and he just can't stand it. Waz, what do you think?
I think the Attorney General, fortunately, I'm pretty sure in New York State, and you guys can check this, is allowed to walk around with a gun. And also, like, you know, she's gonna have a beautifully detailed security. She's gonna be straight in case any Trump jabroni wants to come around and try to get some problems, right? Like, Letitia James is gonna be fine. It's just the idea that a former president is engaging in the tactics of 4chan is kind of just crazy, right? That's just a wild thing to even understand. And you know, as far as the property and trumping up, if you will, its value, we shouldn't be surprised by that. But you know what I find hilarious, Anna? Honestly, Trump's corruption is the gift that keeps on giving. I bet you he could find somebody in Russia or Saudi Arabia or any of the countless people that, you know, he traded favors for during his time in the administration, that would give him the money that he said this crap is appraised for. Particularly if he became president again, man. It's kind of crazy how self-perpetuating all of this corruption stuff is.
Oh, totally. And look, Trump was far more brazen in his corruption and far more government business to Trump properties while simultaneously increasing the cost of stays at his Trump properties when, like, you know, government officials need to stay at his hotels. It was so obvious. Stealing from American taxpayers by doing that, and everyone's just like, oh, okay, who cares? But I mean, his relationship with the Saudis, Jared Kushner's relationship with them.
That's the most obvious one. We're doing all this Hunter Biden. Oh, Hunter Biden. I'm like, this fool took a job, you know, that he probably didn't deserve, in the Ukraine for some private company. Okay, cool. Jared Kushner got security clearance, worked for Donald Trump's administration in an official capacity. He was dealing in foreign affairs, particularly with the Saudis and Israel. And the minute that his administration ended, he got an investment of over $1 billion from Saudi Arabia. And like, what in the heck?
I mean, look, this hasn't been proven, but there are some speculating that Trump might have wanted all of those classified documents in his possession to sell them and make deals with foreign governments, including possibly the Saudis. Look, none of that's been proven, so it would be irresponsible to automatically assume he's guilty of that. But it's part of the reason why I think the prosecution, in regard to his handling of classified and top secret documents, is important. Because what kind of favors did he trade with the Saudis? Aside from providing cover for Mohammed bin Salman when he ordered the assassination and dismemberment of Jamal Khashoggi. Aside from that, well, what else did he do for them? I think we deserve to know.
Look, there's this stuff. Who knows what he did for some of these foreign powers? Like, God only knows at this point. And again, just
like God only knows at this
is
point.
bordering on reckless speculation on my part, Anna. But I've talked to music industry friends. As you know, some rappers got pardoned by Donald Trump. I heard those pardons were going for about $1.5 million a pop.
Mm-hmm.
Like, literally.
Does that explain Waka Flocka Flame coming out and supporting Trump recently? Like, is he looking for a pardon on something? I don't know. I don't really follow him at all, so I don't know why.
Well, Waka, I think Waka is just a guy that's just bored and likes to have his name in the news. I don't think he's really like. I wonder what Trump's position is on Bibi Netanyahu and Israel. I don't think he's really read up on those talking points yet, Anna.
All right. We shall see.
Hey, thanks for watching. We really appreciate it. So we appreciate that you become members because that allows us to be independent, honest, progressive, all the things that you don't get from Trump. All that is in you guys. Hit the join button below. Become one of us. Become a young Turk.
I'm in the A1111 Web UI interface for Stable Diffusion, and I'm excited to show you guys how to generate amazing images using this tool referred by the accelerated and using Before we get into that, I gotta talk about timeline. My timeline versus yours.
I've got an overshield.
Gen AI is a new space and it's moving quite a bit fast. So be mindful of that. Videos like this are a moment in time. Okay, so I also have to tell you that this is a video about how to use A1111 with Accelerate with OpenVINO script. but I'll give you a little bit of background to help you out.
Enemies below us.
There's no way. Are you kidding me?
Nabbed a pulse carbine.
Do you guys stick together, maybe?
Overshield available. Repulsor acquired.
They are watching you. Ever feel that prickle across your neck? That ominous sensation of eyes on you, but you can't detect anyone around? Well, although they can't spot the culprit directly, their senses want to intercept you.
Power weapons incoming.
The earth is surrounded by eyes, studying you, tracking you, trying to understand every aspect of your day-to-day life. They are our own satellites, and there are hundreds of them. And I don't think we have quite realized how good they've gotten. There are satellites with mirrors the size of pebbles, not pointed at distant galaxies to unravel their mysteries, but staring down at you. There are satellites that see through clouds who don't care if it's day or night, they see just as clearly either way. In this age of information, where companies are pushing more data, governments strive to keep track of criminals and threats. The thing that might be harder and harder to find is privacy. Are the benefits worth the cost? I'm Alex McColgan, and you're watching Astro. And it is time to look out the nearest window and smile for the camera. There. Now, do you want to see how your picture turned out? In 1957, the number of artificial satellites in space first ticked up from 0 to 1. Sputnik 1 was launched by the Soviet Union, initially to practice their satellite deployment methods and to send test radio signals through the atmosphere, but also to show the world how they were in the space race. The world, however, did not take long to catch up. In 2007, 50 years later, there were 912 active satellites orbiting the Earth. As a testament of the industry is growing, it took 10 years for that number to reach 1,778. In 2022, the number hit 6,905. And this number is set to grow. The company SpaceX actually raised the number of active Starlink satellites to a whopping 42,000. In the next 10 years, there could be hundreds of thousands of satellites from various different countries and private organizations orbiting the planet. Of course, not all of these satellites are there for observation. Around half of the ones active right now are communication satellites. But still, according to data collected by the UCS, scientists, at the start of 2022, there were 152 eyes looking down on us. That's a lot of eyes.
Can we group together and stop moving that way?
They're getting sharper. Let's discuss spatial resolution. This is a measurement of how many meters per ground are represented by a single pixel in the satellite taken image. The early cameras on satellites like Landsat 1 had a resolution of 80 meters, which is to say, a single pixel represented an 80 by 80 meter square, meaning you could almost fit an entire football field in it. This
Stop going there! What is wrong with you?
Images of our planet at large, and perhaps for keeping track of massive objects like clouds and weather fronts, but there was hardly the sense that our privacy was at risk. Now? Well, see for yourself. These four color videos were taken by Carbonite 2, a commercially available satellite that captures an entire 5-kilometer swath as it passes by at 500 kilometers in northern orbit. The resolution for this video is 4K, which is good enough that you can pick out details like the motion of the waves on the sea or cars driving along the road in real time. Although you might not be able to distinguish their color, and most likely the advantages of such a video are obvious.
Behind that rock.
And keep an eye on traffic congestion, and it becomes easy to track the speed of urbanization. There are also numerous scientific benefits, we'll get into later. There's one undeniable feature of improved resolution, made it very interesting for governments around the world. The main reason you might be worried, it becomes easier for spy satellites to keep track of you. Spy satellites have also come a long way. Originally, when the CIA began their secretive Corona project, it started as an innocent space exploration program called Discoverer. Satellite cameras were recording their images onto actual film, which then had to be jettisoned and parachuted back down to Earth. But the capsules carrying the sensitive data could later be recovered. All these capsules was the first ever man-made object to be recovered from space. It wasn't the most efficient system, and spy satellites tended not to last longer than a year before they ran out of film and capsules. Now, everything is digital, significantly improving the lifespan of such satellites. As for what they can see, well, for obvious reasons, governments tend not to reveal how good the resolution is on their spy satellites. However, it's interesting to note that the video I showed you earlier of the 1 meter resolution satellite camera is not the best the market has to offer. Other satellites boast 50 centimeter, even 25 centimeter resolutions, and some, such as Congress satellites,
what?
10 centimeters. And this is only about as good as they are legally allowed to get. The United States has laws in place that make it illegal to have satellites with better resolutions than that, although companies are pushing this restriction to lower, so that they can keep up with the competitive global market that doesn't always have such restrictions. Take a note of that though, this is not about capability. True, the laws of physics put some constraints on us that make better resolutions difficult to impossible without having the satellite fly close enough to the planet that atmospheric drag will start to cause it to fall, or without making a light-gathering mirror so large that it becomes difficult to launch them on a rocket. However, it's not accurate to say that spy satellites can't get better resolution. There are rumors of resolutions hitting at least 10 centimeter resolution.
Well, let's call it a night on that. Call it a night.